I don't know if I'm crying because I'm laughing or crying because I'm crying.
Both.
Hi.
Definitely both. Yes, we were just reminiscing about how young Shannon and I looked before the walls of before the Ally and Pumpkin walls.
Back then, those were the days a month and a half ago.
Yes, it was. When we were carefree and we could just shoot selfies out in parking lots. How times have changed.
Those were the days.
With drunken purchased Walmart caps on our heads.
No, that was the next day.
Yeah.
Where'd you get that at?
I miss the days where I could just black out and go to Walmart and buy random red hats and gummy bears.
Oh my God. I
Those
used
were
to keep
great
that
days.
on you.
Hello, everybody. First of all, let me say that I've missed you all, and I appreciate all of the get well soon messages, and not so much the 3 messages that said, "Can you just stay gone?" It was not very pleasant.
Aw.
That really happened. Can you believe that? Can you believe that?
Well, I mean, I can believe it, but it's not nice.
I can believe. Well, you should. You were one of the people that sent them. She hates me.
What are you talking about? I don't know. That doesn't sound like something I would do. I'm a constant delight.
How are you? How are you feeling right now with your, what is this, your 18th stream today and 16 soccer matches and?
No, baseball. Today I had 2 baseball games. Yesterday my kid had a soccer tournament. He was playing soccer, not me. And then today I had 2 baseball games, and then I did Lloyd Evans, like John Cedars channel, 50K live stream. Then I literally just jumped off the Nuance Nonsense podcast, which was awesome. I really enjoyed that conversation. I'm actually sad that I cut it short, but I'm going to go back and talk to them again or have them on. And now I'm here with you. So, that's a yay.
That doesn't sound ominous at all. I'm sad that I cut that short and now I'm here with you.
That's right. I left a really delightful conversation I was enjoying, and here we are with Kyle, who I also
I don't even know what's what anymore. I just had to I had to go live somewhere tonight because the past 2 nights at like 8:30 and 9 o'clock, I just stare up at my TV and scream Dave for hours, and I realized that I should probably be streaming somewhere. I'm just like, Dave, are we live? No. And then that dramatic music plays where I just stare at an angle for like 30 seconds. Dun, 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 dun. Somewhere I am streaming. Yeah. I will tell you guys, just because I want to keep you guys to the up to speed and not, I believe in being transparent with you guys. I was sick with a fever for the past couple of days, and I went to the doctor to see about that. And in the process of checking me out, they found a mole that they believe could be cancerous. And so they took some tests on it. I should know with it sometime this week about the results of that. So the people that I have told have been, super supportive, and they've all asked me what they can do. And the resounding answer that I give them is, of course, send thoughts and prayers. That seems to always work. So if you would please send those thoughts and prayers to live@nonsexshow.com. Just in the title, put thoughts and prayers, and I'll know that you're thinking about me.
You make me so mad.
Why?
Because when I was talking to you and you said that to me, it made me laugh when I shouldn't have been laughing, and then I was mad at you, which actually made me feel better actually overall, because usually I'm mad at you because you're annoying the shit out of me. So it kind of brought me back to reality.
Here's the thing. I've had a couple of days to think about it, and I am, of course, I'm concerned about it, but it's one of those things where the medical field is so far advanced nowadays. I'm young. They probably caught it early if it is the worst, and we'll deal with it. And I'm a complete bitch in every aspect of my life, and fighting this, if that's the case, won't be any different. So don't get any ideas that I'm going anywhere, people, because I'm going to be annoying the shit out of you for a long time. So hopefully it won't come to that, but that's my outlook. Very positive. You got to be. So just cut it out. Cut it out. Right?
Paul went through it.
See? See, that makes me feel a lot better. I'm not nearly as tough as Paul.
Reconstructive surgeries, and now he's cancer free. He had to have it taken out of his hand and his lymph nodes here, and he had a really rare malignant form, and he's now cancer free. It took about 4 years to get completely free and chemo, but he's fine now. So
awesome.
There's lots of
Well, I like I said, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. If we get there, hopefully it'll be just they were overly concerned and just taking precautions, and it won't be a thing. But we'll know sometime this week, and I of course will let you guys know. And I appreciate I see the messages in the chat. It's not something that I want to in any way dwell on, or I just wanted to let you guys know so that we're everybody's on the same page. I'm going to keep you guys updated, and we'll deal with it if that becomes an issue. Other than that, we will carry on doing what we do here best, which I wish someone would let me know, because I have been doing this for about a year and a half, and I still can't figure out what we do, actually. What do
you have smart people on to talk about interesting things, and periodically you have dumb people on to talk about stupid things, and they balance each other out.
Speaking of which, tonight, since I unfortunately missed, I was so looking forward to the stream with Aaron and the members from the transgender community, and the porncast with the 2 girls, 1 mic. I was looking forward to that. I did happen to reschedule the furry porn star, so I didn't lose that one. But how did that go, Shannon? How did Thursday go?
Good overall. It got a little bit contentious at points, but there was a lot of interesting conversation, and everybody seemed to feel as though they had an opportunity to kind of get their points across. It turned out that there was actually 3 of the trans women that were present had a distinctly different position on gender as a social construct as one of the trans women who was present did. So there was a little bit of there was talking over each other at different points that wasn't necessarily conducive to uncovering anything or really clarifying anything. But overall, it was good. It was interesting. It was fascinating. I felt like I
Excellent.
learned a fair amount. So yeah, I enjoyed it.
Excellent. Well, tonight we're going to be making up for Thursday, since I'm back and I missed you guys, and I know Shannon did as well. We will. Dave, are the lines open now?
I will do that right now, Kyle.
Okay, Dave will open the lines. The numbers are down below. You can call 1313 666. Which I wonder how many. Well, not too many Christians. With 100 and how many do we have last time that called and couldn't get through? It was almost 200.
There was one where we had 227, and the one before that it was like 183 or something ridiculous. Like,
yeah.
I
wonder how many.
I don't know why people want to talk to us.
I wonder how many people in the chat. Kyle, fight the flat mole. That's great.
That's pretty good.
By the way, in case you're wondering, I will be unveiling the Larry Kink shirt tomorrow. I'm almost finished with it. So in honor of Pride Month, you can get your Larry Kink with his leather harness suspenders and the microphone.
I'm going to have nightmares about that for the rest of my life. Are you really making...
God
damn it. I still think about that.
Wait till you see what the microphone is.
I don't want to talk to you anymore. Do we have a caller? Because I can't fucking even with you right now.
Let's see. Let's see if we. Okay, the lines are open. And if you don't call in, that means that I have to sit here and harass Shannon, which is fine with me. I can actually. Didn't you have to sing a national anthem in French today?
I did sing I shouldn't have had to, because I won on Lloyd's live stream. He had a trivia show, and me and Jay were against Fifth and Rationality Rules, and I won in the lightning round, in the tie-breaking round, and nobody acknowledged the fact that I won until after the show. And I had to sing, if you lost, you had to sing your national anthem. And I asked if they wanted it in French or English, and Lloyd picked French. So I had to sing "O Canada" in French.
Can you give us like the first line of that?
It's "O Canada."
Yeah, can you sing us the first line of that in French? I'm just curious.
"O Canada, terre de nos aïeux, ton français, tes fleurs glorieuses. Quand un bras il portait la paix, il s'est porté la croix." There.
Oh wow!
I don't know how many lines.
I was sitting here thinking that I think that I know one French song, and that's that.
Frère Jacques.
Alouette.
Chantez Alouette, Alouette. Yeah. You don't know Frère Jacques?
Yeah, Dormez-vous. Yeah, I do know that.
Yeah. Are you sleeping? Are you sleeping, Brother John?
That could go very creepy very quickly. You know.
This is like the Shannon and Kyle sing along hour now for some reason.
Right. I think.
What is happening?
I think. Min is actually on the line. We can go ahead and talk to Min.
Hello, Kyle. How are you doing?
I'm fantastic. How about yourself?
I'm glad to hear that. I'm good too. How about you, Shannon?
I'm good. Good to hear from you again. You're a staple. We can't have one of these shows
initially
without you.
I almost did not want to call because, when I heard Kyle had the news, and it reminded me about my uncle-in-law. He diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and then he didn't make it. And a lot of people in my family, they are really believing into karma, because a lot of them are Buddhists. So they say that he would reincarnate into a better life next life, and it's pretty much like I felt like crazy when I heard that, but I did not want to correct them.
If you listen to Shannon, and if you listen to Shannon and reincarnation was really a thing, I would be a garbage ferret.
Correct.
I would reincarnate into a a garbage ferret. So that's what I have to look forward to. I will haunt you too, Shannon.
Yeah.
Haunt you.
No doubt in my mind.
Yeah. So what is the section? Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just being a dick to Kyle. So you can stop me anytime. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Ming.
Yeah. Yeah. So today I want to backtrack a little bit with something that in the episode when two of you interview the incels, um, and it made me think about what Shannon told them. And Shannon, correct me if I'm wrong. I think you're saying that the advice you give them is that when they seek out people, they should not just based on look, but look at people personality too, right? So they get more attention from them.
I think that maybe if I said something similar, I don't believe that was my ultimate. Are you talking about when they're seeking out sexual or romantic partners?
Yeah.
I was. I don't know if I did say something along those lines. I don't know if it would have been specifically about sexual and romantic partners. I don't know. Maybe clarify for me a little bit more and then I can address it because I'm not sure what the context was.
Yeah, I mean, like the reason I bring that up because so when I talk to Kai about the dating app, and some people say I'll put on their profile they don't want to date certain ethnicity because they don't find those people sexually appealing, and many people say that's racist. But Kai and I agree that that is not. It's just
Right.
Like biological driven. And when I look at the incel people, the way they look, I have to say like they don't fit in the category that I would classify as conventionally attractive. And I have the reason for that, and I want to lay it out. So I hope you and Kai can address this for me. That's why I asked you that question, Shannon.
Okay, so I think in that context, I may have been talking about their Tinder experiments that they were doing. They were basing their experiences with, women generally solely on their experience on a media dating app where the only point of discernment that you have for making a decision is somebody's aesthetic. So
Yeah.
the way that app is constructed is you look at the person and decide based solely on aesthetics whether or not you would want to be with them. So it eliminates all other aspects of potential relationship building from the equation. So if you're judging potential relationships solely on that type of experience, then you're not getting the entire picture. I don't think that you can generally help who you're attracted to, though. I just don't believe that that's a thing that you have any sort of degree of control over, especially at first glance or first impression. But I do believe, and I think most people would agree from experience, that getting to know somebody, you can manifest emotions towards them later on, even though initially you didn't have that sort of endorphin rush of sexual attraction towards them. That's something that can manifest later during a relationship. The one piece of advice I do recall giving them was to work on their interpersonal skills by attempting to learn better communication strategies and not, buy pickup artist books and go to bars and say stupid shit to girls and wonder why that didn't work.
Yeah, Shannon, I mean, I agree with you. However, I do think that when you mentioned about the media, somehow, like, I guess if I understand you correctly, they make it sound like aesthetic is more important than anything else. And I don't think that's the case, because I do think that attraction really I mean, it's essentially biological driven, and I want to give you the reason, and hopefully you can address them for me. So the first reason I see is that human beings tend to be tribalistic, right? And we have a tendency to gravitate towards people who look like us. So, like even in our country, we're very diverse in terms of ethnicity, but most of the time you will see that Asian will marry another Asian, Caucasian marry another Caucasian, and African American with another African American. So that's the first reason I think that if we don't look similar like in certain way, then I guess it's hard to establish something at first before we can progress to something else. Is that something you agree with me? Before I tell you the other reasons.
I think that there's a lot more to attraction than just initial assessment of physiological characteristics. I think that you don't have a lot of control, like I said, over your initial sort of endorphin related reaction to exposure to somebody's aesthetic. However, when you're looking at relationship building, that plays a significantly smaller part. It plays a part, but not as much of a part as at first glance. I'd say that it's also not just aesthetic. You seem to be putting it solely in the aesthetic category, like, people tend to date within somebody who looks like them or within somebody who's of their same race. I don't think that is just aesthetic attraction. I think that a lot of that has to do with, cultural representations as well. And it could be tribalistic, and it could be a form of retaining a cultural identity. It could be how you were brought up, how you were socialized or prepared to seek a partner, or taught the type of partner that you should seek out. I think that it's much more multivariate than simply this person looks like me, they're from my tribe, thus I'm attracted to them innately. I think that there's a massive amount of socialization that needs to be taken into account and placed in context. And you're seeing less and less of that as societies are becoming more ubiquitous and more multicultural. And that's probably because we're being socialized differently and less tribalistic towards, things, trivial things like race, and still innately tribalistic, but more so tribalistic towards people who adhere to our societal standards, political perspectives, moral outlooks, and lifestyles.
Yes. And I have a confession to make to Kai, but what I would say to the end because of what you say. The other two reasons I see is that when I listen to a show from Australia, they talk about men who seek plastic surgery to improve their appearance. And an evolutionary biologist on a show say that women are very good at picking up the cue about men who look aesthetic. I mean, it's aesthetic look in men because, like men who consider to be, like the standard of beauty. If you look at the men's health magazine covers, I look at a version from America and from Singapore, and they tend to look similarly in terms of the way they look. Like they have broad shoulder, they have square jaw. They highly they very good, sculpted body, and those are the signs of indicate that the guy have healthy gene to pass on the next offspring. So that's why women they don't do it consciously, but in subconscious, because it's the evolutionary product. So they tend to find those men more attractive than just a regular man. That's what I hear.
Wait a minute.
Wait
a minute. Are you mean to tell me that
the
that they
biologist.
don't go for the gnome type with a dad bod? That's already out. Did I miss the trend? Damn it!
I think that could be a subject too. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, he said that he had something that he wanted to confess so that we could see what that is, because we're full on the line, so we probably should get to another call so we can try to fit them all in. But what did you want to confess before we go to the next call?
I know about the non sequitur like about a year ago, and interestingly, I knew about your show at the same time I developed my interest in country music. And in country music, you can see like they portray the singers, and I'm talking about a specific genre here. They call the bro country, not Nelly Wilson or Johnny Cash style. And in this specific country style, you can see the male singer. They portray like really, I would say like they
cheesy,
like the people from Men's Health paper. Like, so I knew about the singer Sam Hunt, and the way I look at him, like he is, I would say like a perfect standard of male beauty. And and then over time when I watched your show, I heard your story and see you have strong sense of justice and all the good quality about you. I feel like if I'm seeing you guys, you see both of you and Sam Hunt on the same street, I would be more into you than more into him, because I don't know anything about him beyond his look. I know more about you.
Wow.
So that's what I follow what Shannon said. Like beyond the look, I attract to your personality. But of course, I cannot fight the biology in me that I tend to, just for the first impression, I tend to look at him more than you at the first time.
I would look at him more too. You're not wrong there.
There's a distinct difference between sexual attraction and like how you see yourself romantically too. Like you can be sexually attracted to somebody that you can't stand being in the same room with, but sexually attracted to them. But
are you confessing something right now?
This is fucking crazy. Such a nightmare all the time. I can't make a point.
Let it out. Everyone confess.
Yeah. Okay. So, I'm getting the last. You can take all the call. And thank you, Kai. Thank you, Shannon. I'll save the final reason for you guys and another time. So thank you so much, and be well, Kyle.
Thank you, Min. I appreciate it.
Thank you. See you, Shannon. Thank you.
Bye, man.
Yeah, bye.
Okay, so everyone wants to marry me. No one wants to have sex with me. That's what I've gotten.
Or some of us want neither. That's okay.
Yeah. I don't believe that for 1 second.
We're already married, apparently.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Let's go with William.
Call screener roulette.
William.
Hello, Kyle.
Hi.
Am I on the air?
I think so.
Okay.
Yes, you are.
I'm having trouble connecting to the internet.
Shut up, Alexa.
Take a look at the help section in your Alexa
subscriber and watcher of your program. But the reason I called isn't so much that I have a question as more a statement. I had earlier posted on Twitter that I had contacted the David Paxton show and also Farron Cousins of Ring of Fire in regard to the NIFB situation, and also yes, I'd like to encourage your listeners, other listeners, to go to their local secular groups and stuff, and see if they can get them involved in this situation. Find out how they can help to spread the message of the hate mongering propaganda
Kind of,
that these people spread. I
They
just
go
feel
beyond
like
propaganda. They're actively dangerous. They're reprehensible human beings. They're causing very, very real harm within their congregations, even if you ignore any of the external influence that they're attempting to have and any of the rhetoric and propaganda that they put out within their congregations. I watched a video the other day. As I was watching hours and hours of video, I can only put so much in one video, but we have a library essentially. One of the ones that like literally I had to get up and go outside because I couldn't anymore was a video where one of the pastors, I think it might have been Stephen Anderson, was instructing his congregation about how to appropriately spank a 2-year-old and how you need to take the diaper off in order to do it because they need to feel it sting. And if you hit them hard enough to feel it sting with a diaper on, you might misalign their spine. So make sure you take the diaper off first before you hit them when they're that young. Because otherwise you'll hit they won't feel it if the diaper's on, or you'll have to hit them too hard and you could cause permanent damage. I'm not joking.
People are horrible. Or the one that said that you should march kids out in the town square and watch as they hang drag queens. What do they call it? Drag queen story hour.
Yeah, they called it drag queen stoning hour instead of drag queen story hour because they didn't like drag queen story hour.
Lovely.
We wouldn't want our children to be understanding. We'd rather let them watch people get murdered. That's better.
To me, it's a shame in this instance that like these are the instances where I really, really wish hell was a real place. I honestly wish that there was a constant, eternal place where you could put people and there would be nothing but suffering for all of eternity. Because if anybody deserves it, it's not the people who just lack belief in a deity. It's these fucks. They deserve to be the gnashing of teeth and everything else that comes with hell. It's sad, really, that such a place doesn't exist for these fucks.
Yeah. And they're armed, and they go to shooting practice. They talk all about the stand their ground law, and that they hope somebody comes up to them while they're in Orlando because they know all about the stand their ground law, and they all have concealed weapons.
Yeah.
So I would definitely encourage people to do something, but don't under any circumstance approach these people physically unless you have a police escort, because they're dangerous. It's not just rhetoric, they're dangerous people.
Yes, be safe.
Safe.
And we won't stop.
Do something.
We won't stop. You can bet your life on that we will not stop until these bastards are taken down at every turn. There is no place, no shadowy corner, no nook or cranny that they can hide in where we won't find you. And we're coming for you, all of you, because that's what you deserve.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we lost William. His connection cut out.
William had a good point, though. Go to your local secular groups, share our videos, let them know what's going on. Even if you don't share the videos, use some of the resources that were made available to you and let people know what's going on, because the more voices that we have, not even just secular, there's actually theists that are starting to participate as well, because this is about humans helping humans.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And that shows you something when when you have atheists and theists working together on a goal, that shows you how horrible these people are. So just take that into consideration. Peggy.
Hey.
Hey.
So first off, I really agree with y'all on all that y'all just said. It really takes people working together to take down awful people like that. My question is dealing with, what do y'all think that relationships between people of different religious beliefs can work? Because I hear all the time from people, they don't think they can work. They think that you'll disagree too much. And for some reason, like even as a teen, people are worrying about in the future, like, how are you going to raise the kids? And I'm like, we'll come to that bridge when we'll get to it. So
Right.
I was wondering what y'all were thinking.
Sure. I think that, to me, I actually am interested, I think, more when, I know from my own experience here recently, I've met a couple people who have been theists, and it leads to me, I enjoy conversation, and the best conversation is the conversation you can have where people don't agree with you, but you both respect each other's standpoint, and you're capable of having a conversation without it being adversarial and without it, you thinking negatively about the other person. To me, I think it's more interesting when you don't agree on something like that. Now, if you are going as far as, this is something that's going to last, and you're going to get married and have kids or whatever, you should definitely have that conversation about the kids and all that before the kids come, instead of waiting to cross that bridge when it gets there. You should have a game plan, because that's going to be a huge deciding point. Of course, the person who is on the theist side is absolutely going to want to have those kids raised in a Christian environment, and you have to be fully aware of that going into it. But it can work if you want it to. To me, relationship, it's very, like, I think of relationships like this. Relationships are often way overcomplicated, and not a lot of emphasis is put in the right place. It should be the most simple thing that two people have. If you really love each other, it shouldn't be work. And there are a lot of people that are going to disagree with that. A lot of people think, you have to do what you have to do to make it work. And I just disagree with that. I think that it should be, you found your soulmate when, things just click and there isn't any work. They should be your escape from the noise of everything else. And I know that's very idealistic, and in a lot of cases, it only works in movies like The Notebook. But if you really want that, and you're committed to not let things get in the way that ultimately, aren't a deal breaker for you. Like, if you don't mind that they believe something different than you, then you just make it work, and you respect their views, and you have disagreements or discussions, and it could lead to late night conversations that last 6 hours, and you could walk away learning something new, or you could walk away completely hating the person. It could go in a very bad way. It's ultimately up to you and what you want out of a relationship. If you want somebody that completely agrees with everything that you like and that you don't like, that's fine. That's perfectly valid too. It all depends on what you want and how much, feistiness and spice and pizzazz. Is pizzazz even a word? Pizzazz that you want out of out of a relationship. Shannon?
I think it also depends. I think it depends on how extreme the position is too, and whether or not you're compatible in that aspect. Like, for example, am an atheist advocate. I couldn't date somebody from the NIFB, for example, just because their beliefs, and I'm bi, and I'm a lot of things that they hate actively. And not even something that extreme. I very likely couldn't date somebody who had really strong beliefs in the Muslim faith, in Islam, because of how I feel about how I should act as a woman, and because of the fact that I'm an atheist. Like, them attempting to exercise that form of religious control over me isn't something, no matter how compatible we were in every other fashion, that would be agreeable to me. There would be no accord for something like that. However, if the degree of faith you have is essentially, minimized, which is the case in a lot of people with religious beliefs. A lot of people with religious beliefs are, church on Sunday, if even that, believe in a general concept of God, haven't really read the Bible, know stuff they were told about their faith, or know stuff they were told about the Quran or the Torah, or insert religious text here, and just believe it as an idea, a nice idea, instead of a staunch ideology. And that distinction would be important. If it was a staunch ideology and I couldn't comport with that ideology, that would be difficult. If you were expecting me to comport with your ideology, no. If you were fine with me existing in the fashion that I do, and I'm fine with you existing in the fashion that you do, which I would find difficult in some aspects, then maybe, I guess. But I think it exists on a spectrum. That it could definitely work, so long as your religion didn't force you into a position mentally where you felt that the other person had to manifest behaviors that were in accord with the tenets of your faith.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
The issue, Peggy, too, is that it's usually never at least with me in the two cases where I met two people who were theists, it's never a problem going from the atheist to the theist. Like there's never an issue, or there's hardly ever an issue with theists willing to accept people who are theists. It's usually the issue with the other way around. The theist won't attempt to have any sort of relationship or expect you to change and become whereas me, like I could care less if they become an atheist, if they want to stay a theist. Doesn't bother me. But their religion instructs them that they're not to mix yoke, and so they can't associate or condone the atheist lifestyle, whatever that is. And so the issue that you usually see happening is from the theist to the atheist side, not the other way around.
Yeah, like I don't care if you want to bow your head and say grace and go to church, but don't expect me to do it with you. Like
I would be checking Facebook during prayer time.
That's right. I have a fight on Twitter anyway. Just do whatever you get.
I'm swiping right.
I'm busy anyway. Right. That makes sense.
Do you have the hots for a theist, Peggy?
Huh?
Do you have the hots for a theist, Peggy?
I'm actually with a theist. Luckily, he's very mild and very liberal. Like I know more about the Bible than he does.
That happens so much.
Theist light, then, right?
Cafeteria Christian.
Listen, hey, that's how people become atheists. If a Christian actually reads the Bible, the entire Bible, they come out of it an atheist. So maybe you should just set him down and say, look, read your book. Just read your book.
Yeah, he did. I mentioned the name Miriam to him once, and he didn't even know that name was in the Bible.
Oh God, that's
so
Moses' sister.
He's a Sunday. Ask him about Jephthah. Yeah, the poor general's daughter. See what he has to say about that.
Huh?
I was saying, ask him about I think it was Jephthah. I can never say that, but a general got into a wager with God and said, if you help me win this war, the next person that walks through this threshold, you can kill. And his daughter walked through the threshold.
I heard about that with the non-stamp collectors.
So Southern Atheist
creator.
just did a video on that today too.
Interesting. Yeah.
It's such a fucked up story. Like, who makes, like, God knowing who's going to walk through the door, right? He knows everything.
Yeah.
So he's like, sure, I'll take you up on that. Yeah, we'll just strike your daughter dead. Who had nothing to do with this.
Yeah.
And then you have to kill your daughter.
It's not bad enough. He almost. Yeah. It's not bad enough. He almost had Moses' kid killed. He had to go ahead and Abraham's kid killed, but it has to go and actually.
You would never let a boy die.
Oh yeah.
Here's the
course.
here's the thing.
Here's the special.
Unless it's
Here's
your
the thing.
kids.
Think about
Jesus.
the flood with Noah. Think about the flood though. He is so angry at humanity for like he screwed up so bad. Like he's so angry that he just messed up humans. Instead of snapping his fingers and fixing whatever issues that he had with them, just going, you know what? I'm God. I can make them do whatever. I can turn them into a bunch of squawking monkeys if I want to. Instead of doing that, he's like, oh, I fucked up. How am I going to fix this? I'll fucking drown them all, except for 6 of them. A 900-year-old man who I will make chop down an entire forest to build a wooden box. I will cram him in there with 2 of every animal on the planet, so he'll wish he was fucking drowned like everyone else. And then it'll just rain for 40 days and 40 nights. And to show everyone that I'm sorry for having to wipe the planet clean, I'll send them a rainbow, which the queers will come around. The queers will come later and steal.
And you know, have you heard about the Noah's Ark that was built somewhere?
Oh, in Kentucky. I know all about the Ark encounter. Holy shit. Me and Kenny are best friends.
Which is now they're getting all kind of damages because it's flooded or what? How ironic.
There was a mudslide, but it's funny. There was a mudslide that damaged a service road. The Ark itself actually didn't get damaged, but the fact that they had to sue the insurance company for flood damage is pretty awesome.
It's funny.
It's also not a fucking boat. It's a building with a boat built onto the front of it. It only looks like a boat from one angle. If you take a picture of it from any other angle, it's just like a series of buildings with just a boat faceplate attached to the front of it.
I love how these people actually took a fucking dinosaur and put it in the Ark in a cage, like it's a real thing. Like the T-Rex is gonna, you know what? None of these animals look tasty to me. I'm going to, you know what they're doing now though, because as the medical field advances, so do these whack job interpretations of the Bible. So there are people who actually think now that by 2 of every kind, they meant seed. So Noah packed the semen of these animals in the Ark, and that's how everything fit into the boat nice and evenly. But here's my question. Who went around collecting those semen samples?
And then what do you do with it? Do they grow it in the lab?
How do you collect mosquito semen? Just my question.
Oh, tweezers. Very, 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 very fine crafted tweezers.
Really, just like made of hair tweezers.
What I love, I went and saw the movie Noah with Russell Crowe as Noah. And like they claim that this is supposed to be the, to the book interpretation of the flood story. Does anyone recall hearing anything about the rock people? These literal stone humanoids that were clearing the forest, that were taking their big club, rock arms and tearing down the forest for Noah and bringing the wood to him. Like these literal rocks came to life. And I'm sitting here going, I'm a Christian at this point when I'm watching this. And I'm going, man, that ain't real. And looking back, going, me saying, man, that ain't real, could have applied to any of the fucking story, not just the rock people, but the rock people. That's what got me.
That was too far for you. Was the rock people?
Not that a 600-year-old man. Not that a 600-year-old man could be out there laboring and building this wooden shoebox that would float for 40 days and 40 nights. But the rock people, literally, rocks can't come to life. Why not? Why can't they? If you believe in, Paul says that the rock people were the Nephilim who were in the Bible. Yeah, but where does it say that they were?
Nephilim are angel-human hybrids, I think, because the angels came down and got it on with some of the nasty humans. And then that made Nephilim, which were like angel human. So which means because if that means angels have free will also, by the way, because they would have had to come down and done that and then pissed off God, which means that angels also have free will, which means that we're not specially created to be the only ones with free will, which is kind of an issue. Or God sent them down to get it on with the humans, which means that he set this series into motion, which led to the Nephilim, which pissed him off. So it's like it was like he was like, I'm not hitting myself. Like he was just doing shit to piss himself off so that he could kill none of it makes any goddamn sense. But you're right, Kyle. The rock people were the fucked up part.
The thing is, though, like like I saw a meme the other day with where it was like, what if Satan didn't rebel against God because he was jealous or whatever? What if Satan saw something or saw the shit that God was doing and was like, you know what, this shit's fucked up, I'm out. That makes so much more.
It was like,
you know what,
right?
You're crazy. In the garden, he's just like, you know what? Of all the places that he could have put that tree, put it right here. He doesn't want you to know what that tree is about. Now, how in the world? Please, if there's a theist watching this, this is a serious question. Answer me this question: if Eve didn't know of sin until she partook of that fruit, how did she know what she was about to do was going to be wrong? Until she actually did the act. She could not have known that eating of that fruit was wrong because she didn't know of sin then. So how could that be? And how was that? It's just so like if people sit down and have someone go, look at this shit, look at how none of this makes sense. People would go, you know what? This is crazy bullshit. I'm moving on. I'm gonna, Harry Potter and Game of Thrones has a better plot line that makes more sense. Like I believe in Daenerys Targaryen more so than Jesus Christ of Nazareth. Like I believe that narrative happened a lot more than the Jesus of Nazareth story. Sorry, just doesn't. There's too many holes.
Well, you need Eve. You need original sin to even get to Jesus of Nazareth, though. So if there was no Adam and Eve, because Jesus talks about Adam, if there was no original sin from Adam and Eve, if they weren't the first two people whom we're all descended from, then there's no need for Jesus to die.
Yeah, so, there's no need for him to die, period.
If that first story is wrong, which it is, everything else that follows leading up to Jesus has to do with us being fallen because of original sin.
Yep.
So if there was no original sin, the rest of the story doesn't make any goddamn sense.
Right. That's a good point. Like if you just think the Adam and Eve story was lore, just allegory, where did the original sin come from then?
What did Jesus die for?
God, they didn't think about these stupid holes in this story when they wrote this.
This book. We could have made them a storyboard. We could have got this shit sorted out. We could have made it way better. We could have.
You know what? That's what we need to do. We need to fix the Christian story.
Fix the Bible.
I've got it. Here's what happens. Okay, we wake up. The scene opens up into this beautiful garden with Adam and Eve, and Satan's over here, and he says, "Hey, here's a tree. God doesn't want you to know what happens when you eat this. Eat of this fruit." Eve goes. Dramatic music plays. She bites into the apple, makes Adam, because men are pussy whipped, eats of the fruit too, and then God comes down with this red face, and he's like, "I told you not to eat of that tree." And they say, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry, God." And he goes, "It's cool. I'm gonna let this slide. Don't do it again.
I'm a forgiving God." That's right.
And we all get to live happily ever after. But no, because you ate of the fruit, bitch, I will now create a son 2,000 years from now. I will send him to have 33 relatively happy years, and then we will beat him to death for 3 days, nail him on a cross, put him in a tomb. He'll die, go to hell, hang out with Satan for a little bit, come back up, resurrect to the heavens, and then watch as humanity is in turmoil and disease and famine and pestilence for ever and ever until I decide that they've had enough, and then I'll come back.
also, like the 4,000 years between original sin and Jesus, what happened to all those people? They didn't have the opportunity for any sort of redemption. So all the people that existed from that point that were tarnished by original sin, even though it wasn't their fault, they couldn't have known about it and they didn't exist. But they didn't have redemption because Jesus didn't exist. So what happened to them? Like what happened to all those people? God's like, you know what? For the next 4,000 years, these people can suck it. I have plans for the people after that. So instead of sending my kid down to die the next day, so that we can sort this out now and get it over with, so that everybody's fine, I'm gonna wait for 4,000 years so that everybody in the world can know how pissed off I am. I need to drive this point home. I'm gonna sacrifice all these people's souls. There is no redemption for you guys. so that everybody gets it.
Can you just and why put the tree in the Garden of Eden anyway? You have this entire surface area of the planet. Why stick it right in the middle of where the two people that inhabit the earth are? If you know they're going to be tempted. Yeah, why even make the tree?
Why make a tree? Put it on the
moon. Invent Monopoly. Invent the board game Monopoly. Be like, here, Adam and Eve, play Monopoly. And instead of like the race car and the top hat pieces, you have like a fig leaf and Adam's rib. And you can just play with those two pieces forever and ever in eternity. Peggy, thanks for hanging through there while we ranted. But damn it, that needed to get out there. Why do you believe this stupid shit?
And workout.
It's all right. I think a Dr. Seuss book has less plot holes than the Bible. So
yeah,
I agree.
Green eggs and ham.
Hop on pop, baby. Hop on pop.
Well, Peggy, I hope that it works out between you and your theist partner. But really, point these things out to him and ask him, why do you believe this stupid shit? I'm kidding. Don't do that.
I think he's just kind of holding on. His beliefs kind of point to atheism, but I think he's just kind of holding on because he's under his pants rope.
Oh yeah, sounds like Steve McRae. Everybody knows that Steve McRae is an atheist at heart, but he just won't let it go. You're an atheist, Steve. Thanks, Peggy.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Peggy.
I want to read what the screener has on here.
Hello.
Meth lab trans question.
Oh, math lab. What is it?
Oh,
yeah. Just actually got off the stream earlier with Shannon, and I'm actually looking to try to figure out how exactly I can help cis people understand some of the issues trans men especially are facing, because I want to help get more visibility and get more allies. And I was kind of wondering, what are some of the bigger things you guys have seen having big channels relatively, and what I can do or what questions I could answer to help bring more allies in.
You're awesome. First off, it shouldn't be up to you, but the fact that you are open is amazing. I've really enjoyed that conversation. I would definitely go over to Nuanced Nonsense and check out that conversation that we had earlier. It was really, really enlightening and engaging. And what you guys just did with me, I think, was fantastic. Allowing people to be open, to be inquisitive, without the accusation that their inquisition is their inquiry is an insult, would help people to become more educated into different perspectives. A lot of people, that doesn't mean that that's something that you have to do. I understand, everybody has their own comfort levels, but if it's something that you're open to doing, offering yourself up is incredibly helpful. So I appreciate that you're open and willing to do it, because I benefited from it already, and hopefully some other people who are watching did. So I thank you.
I think that goes
I'm hoping so too. I was just trying to see if maybe Kyle or any of the channels from prior conversations had some questions.
I would go not specifically myself, but here's what I would say to the broader general conversation. I think that a lot could be learned from a lot of people that have genuine questions, but don't ask them out of fear that they may seem like they're coming across in any way transphobic, or that they're not being sort of supportive. You know what I'm saying? Like a question that maybe they feel like could be misconstrued in a way as them being having malintent. You know, I think that a lot of people genuinely may have questions that could greatly benefit the greater conversation. And if they were sort of given a platform or a voice where those questions could be asked openly in an environment that was, you know, willing to listen, wanted to hear them out. I think just a lot of people in the environment that we're sort of in, it can get volatile. And I think we all know that from both sides, it can get really, really volatile. But there is a conversation that, you know, could be had, needs to be had, and should be worked towards. I think a lot of people genuinely care about the rights and the discrimination that people in the trans community face on a daily basis. I know that I do, 100%. And I am interested in pushing for that to not be a reality as part of their daily just existence, because it can get, you know, I think we all know it can get very, very rough and volatile, and just people, there are a lot of people that suck. There are a lot of people, I think, that have genuine questions that sort of maybe keep quiet out of a fear of being, you know, shouted down, or, you know, just because they might have some sort of fear about it. And I think if we foster open conversation between people like good faith actors, people who like genuinely are wanting to ask real questions because they genuinely want to know, not because they're being an asshole or genuinely transphobic, I think that would go a long way in opening up sort of a dialogue between those two communities.
Like today, I learned here. I'm so sorry, Matt.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. No, go ahead. I was just agreeing with Kyle.
Chitty chat. Never shut up. So I'm really excited to share this, because here's something I have the opportunity to do on a larger platform that I learned from you guys allowing me the opportunity to be openly inquisitive and encouraging. That's like encouraging me to be openly inquisitive, with like in a safe environment where I knew that you knew where my questions were coming from. I learned today about the hoops that need to be jumped through and the ridiculous purity tests that you need to pass in order to start your transitions. Like you have to, like, it was back in 2005, so I believe it's changed a little bit, and it varies state to state and country to country. But in a lot of places, when you want to transition, you have to essentially kind of prove yourself by living as your gender, which you were already living as, because that's your gender. But you have to like prove yourself. You have to like pass a fire test, which means that if you're a woman, how do you prove you're a woman? Like my point was, I'm a woman, but I'm not a girly woman. But their standard for living as a woman was like, you know, paint your nails and curl your hair and wear makeup and do the stereotypical girly thing. And that'll prove that you're woman enough to deserve to be a woman, when that's not even what a woman is. So you have to live as not yourself for a year in order to get to the point where you can start to transition into yourself. Only then can you be yourself. You have to live as not yourself in a different way than you're already living as not yourself. You have to live as not yourself almost twice in order to get to a point where you are actually given the opportunity to be yourself. And that's horrific from a mental health perspective. If you already have any sort of dysphoria, especially if you have severe dysphoria, that's going to agitate it. It's going to put you in a worse position. And I had no idea. So that gave me the opportunity to educate myself in that and to understand that that's something that I can help advocate for, or well, not for, but, you know, educate about along with you guys, that I wouldn't have had the opportunity if you guys hadn't have been so willing and kind to me and allowed me to hear those questions. So just going on platforms and being open is a huge step for those of us who are working to better educate ourselves and understand the perspective better.
I was thinking it was going to be something like that, but I was just seeing if maybe after the last show, you know, somebody had like, oh, here's this amazing, awesome question. Because I know sometimes after shows, people come up with questions and it's like, oh, I really wish I had asked that. But yeah, definitely planning on being more open and calling into different shows and those types of things. And I just want
you're going to come on my show still, right?
Sorry?
I'm sorry. I thought there was a bit of a lag. I thought you were done. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was going to say, you guys are still going to come on my show at some point too, right?
Don't do it.
Oh yeah, I'd love to.
Kyle, shut up. Okay, awesome. Because that'll be an awesome opportunity for me to ask more questions. Because I do have more.
I didn't have any other questions besides that, and I figured other people may want to come on your channel. But I just wanted to see if you guys had anything, and what you guys are doing is awesome, especially with getting with the whole pumpkin posse stuff. And I just wanted to say hi, and you all rock.
We are so glad that you did, and we look forward to talking with you soon. Excellent call. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a great night.
Bye, Matt.
Good night. Okay.
It's great.
Oh boy. Okay. Pat.
Pat's done. Pat?
I wanted to talk to you guys about the shenanigans that happened with the ACA and that supposedly caused Tracy Harris, Jen Peoples, and John Isolati to leave the show. Did you guys hear about that?
No.
No, I was not aware of that.
Well, I mean, I just wanted to see if you guys had any thoughts of, you know, the schism that's going on in the community amongst, you know, atheist communities that are causing, like, you know, people who, you know, consider it a big deal. A lot of fans of the show, you know, if they didn't like Matt Dillahunty, they liked Tracy Harris for sure. And I know I'm one of them. She's one of my favorite hosts on the show. And, you know, they decided to pack up and go kind of out of nowhere. You know, they didn't announce it. It wasn't like, they didn't even a fanfare and with appreciation. They kind of just left in this kind of the midst of all this argumentative stuff that's going on in the ACA. And
you feel betrayed
I didn't know you guys were aware. Right? I thought you followed this stuff. I thought you guys were atheists, you know.
Yeah, well, we're really busy right now being a unified community who's actually volunteering our hours off camera all the time in order to, you know, focus on actively fighting against a hate group right now. So I don't spend a lot of time watching YouTube videos and following social media stuff about, you know, drama, because there's a huge unified.
I mean, either. I don't either. I only watch it when it comes on Sunday, you know, the only day. And
I get it. You feel betrayed, right? You feel betrayed because they're leaving very abruptly, and you know they didn't give you any sort of sign off. I don't know that I would. A lot of people have very deep held convictions, and they're not wrong for having those. If they feel like there's an instance where they need to make a change, you know, ultimately they have to do what they feel is best for them in the long run. And sometimes that doesn't go with what we think. I mean, I've seen it happen with a lot of There's a channel in particular that I'm thinking of myself where you don't see that happening because everything's perfect the way that it is with them all together and with everybody singing, Kumbaya, and it's just been that way for so long. But when you take a step back and you think about it, the personalities that oftentimes come together for these type of things, they're all different. They're all coming from a different place. They all have different moral stances that they take. They all take things very differently in terms of seriousness or in terms of, what matters the most to them. And at some point, change is inevitable. And it just takes a single instance for that change to be initiated. And all you can do is sort of wish them well, be happy for the times that, you watch them and the work that they did, because I think we all can agree that these people that you're talking about did really good work. They changed lives, and for the all the way around, they're good people and they mean well. It's just an instance where, for whatever reason, they needed a change, and all you can do is wish them well and hope that their next endeavor is equally as successful and makes them equally happy. And hopefully that'll result in something new that you can appreciate them for.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. I mean, like, for being an assessment of just hearing the news, like, it's not like you had time to mull this over. That, right. I appreciate that explanation.
Sure.
Yeah, it's like, and it's also very, very difficult because, you mentioned the schism, and I think a lot of that comes from, people like us hearing information like this and immediately jumping into speculation on motivations and circumstances and what happened based on snippets that we see with or without context that are built within a narrative that somebody might be interested in pushing, or somebody else might be interested in pushing a different narrative. Both of those people are viewing the same social media and YouTube videos, etc., that you have access to the same information that you do in a lot of instances, and are acting as though they have access to more by virtue of speculation of people's motives that they couldn't conceivably know. They just couldn't conceivably know them, but they act as though they do, and people trust and believe them. So in order to be responsible in this situation, I don't believe that me speculating on why it could have happened at all would be responsible, because it would be contributing to that schism in one way or another. The best thing that I can say really is that, I enjoyed them, and I hope that they find another, like Kyle said, avenue that's fulfilling to them, and that they get what they need out of that if they didn't get what they needed out of this. And that I hope other people don't use this as an opportunity to speculate about what happened so that they can garner attention because they're narrative building, and that helps them increase their subscriber base at the sacrifice of the greater community that we should all be working better at building together.
Sure, I don't want to make any claims beyond what I just said. I don't want I don't want to speculate. I agree with exactly what you said. One more thing before I go, you guys. I love your show.
Thanks.
I wanted to say, I don't know if you guys have heard the interpretation of original sin as defined as the ego, where you perceive yourself separate from nature. And so as long as you perceive yourself separate from nature, then that permits, all sin. Then you can steal from someone, you can rape someone, you can murder someone, because you see them as something separate from yourself. And a lot of, the early theologians considered that their original sin. They didn't interpret the Bible so literally. And so the original sin to them was, the perspective of the ego seeing itself separate from nature. And it was that original division. And And so when they go into the contemplative state, they see a unity, they see harmony, and so forth. I don't know if you guys ever heard that interpretation, but I just want to leave you with that, guys, and you can take the next call. I really appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
I've never heard of that, but I will tell you what I think original.
More interesting. God, why did you start with that?
What I think original sin is the first Nickelback album. That should be what God created a son to die for. Like if I was up in heaven and heard look at this photograph, I'd be like, get Jesus on deck. Get Jesus on deck. He's getting sent down there to get to get nailed right now. By the way, I saw this hilarious meme of
not Nickelback on this stream, or I will beat you to death.
Jesus in a nail parlor, getting his nails painted, the nails in his hand.
Stop it!
All right. All right, we've got the lines open. We'll take one more call if you want to call in the next 2 minutes, and whoever gets it in will be our last caller. So make it good, make it really good. Somebody who absolutely hates Shannon, call in.
Yeah, do it.
I'm kidding.
That's a way to never get a caller because everybody.
I will hang up on you.
Oh wait, it could be Dean Esme. It could be Dean. Dean could call in. Max
would never,
but I don't think he would call.
Yeah, fuck.
I think he might be the only person who's articulated that he legitimately hates me. I think he might be the only one. Maybe there's more, and I just haven't seen it.
He's a human kazoo, so no one gives a shit what he Math Magic Pagan, the number is on the screen. 1-313-666-7371.
No one wants to talk today.
Right below Shannon. Good callers tonight, though. Really good callers tonight.
I love the theological questions. They're so cool.
Yeah. I love how I can feel my blood pressure rising when, like, I just don't understand how can someone literally believe in the literal interpretation of the Bible? Like, how is that possible? How did I do it? I did it.
I know.
I did it.
I never did. I did it.
I fell for that shit.
But I never read it.
I heard
people told me. Then I read it.
Well, see, like, I guess we were sheltered because I never heard about the slavery thing in the Bible until Aaron on the Atheist Experience, and I was like, it doesn't say that. And then I went and pulled the video up again, turned to the verse he was talking about, and I was like, holy shit! Literally, holy shit! This says that. Like this,
they don't preach that from the pulpit. Oddly,
this scary guy on the screen is right. They've been hiding this shit in the book.
He's so sweet though in real life. He's a good hugger.
He's like you know what people think that he is like some, asshole or whatever, but he is not. He's like the sweetest. He's the sweetest man on the. He just has no time for bullshit, and I don't blame him. You know what I mean? Like, I hope that I get that way as I get older. Like for me now, I'm sort of like the type where it's like, if I'm just meeting you for the first time, I'll suffer through, whatever your bullshit pitch is. Oh, hey. Hey.
Yep, making a phone call.
Oh.
I think I might be bleeding through
adorable.
A little bit. Sorry about that, y'all.
Leon, that's fine. Can you hear us, Leon?
Leon, can you hear us?
Okay. Oh, okay, good stuff. Okay, I definitely want to make sure that was the case. Name's Leon, and I just want to call and kind of ask a little bit about what y'all's opinion is on where we're at as a country right now, at least in the United States, with criminal justice reform.
Oh boy,
that's pretty difficult.
I don't know anything.
Yeah, it's a pretty heavy topic.
And Kyle has that.
This
is my people caught in that system.
This is my topic. I could go. How much time do you have?
I'll play Candy Crush.
Well, it depends on how much time y'all have. From my perspective, it's been weaponized in a very dangerous way, and we've reached like a whole new precedent with how it's being used. And like I caution people that are going out and being protesters and activists to kind of accept that they might get caught in a system they might not be able to get out of if they're not financially flexible enough. Because that's really what it comes down to in a lot of cases at the end of the day.
I've talked about this many times because I was somebody that was caught up in the criminal justice system for a long time.
Oh, I had no idea.
Oh yeah, I spent a year in prison, and then 3 years after that in the parole, probation thing. And I've seen a lot of people that I was locked up with, a lot of people that I met through the my experience in prison that were caught up in a system that and I always tell the story, and I'll sort of condense it. When I left prison, when I was leaving, and they give you a change of clothes, like your people can, or your friends or parents or whatever, can bring you a change of clothes when they come to pick you up. They slide them to you through a window, and with my clothes, I got a bill. It looked just like, and I wish I still had it, but it looked just like a checkout receipt that you would get from a hotel. It was an invoice, and I was charged roughly $37 every day that I was in there. Now there are stipulations depending on which state that you're in, which county that you're in that state, on how long that you have to pay that back. There's a window depending on your case, depending on the judge. A lot of factors go into it, but you're giving a specific amount of time that you have to pay that money back. So on top of getting just recently released from prison, a lot of times with that scarlet F to your name. So that's going to make a lot of people who are looking for work, it's going to make it very difficult if you don't have a very specific set of skills to get it. So if you don't pay this back within that window, you violate your probation, your parole, and they will come and they will pick you up and they will take you to court, and you'll be found guilty of violating your probation and parole. They will send you back to prison, where you will accumulate another bill for however many days they give you on that time. The majority of people in prison are there for parole and probation violations. A high number of that is financial reasons, because they couldn't pay their fees, they couldn't pay the money that it takes to, that you accrue while you're in there. So they get stuck in this revolving door of getting sent to prison, getting out, having a number above their head. They cannot pay it. So you have two options. You can either go back to what you're used to when you were out on the streets and you could make money, and that is like selling drugs. A lot of people resort back to that so that they can, make ends meet. They have families that they need to take care of. Or you get caught up in that revolving door of the criminal justice system. And all it is centered around money. You can take the upsell and prices for the canteen, because I ran a canteen the year that I was in prison. All the food stuff, we would get boxes of honey buns in the canteen that you would get at a convenience store. In the canteen, it would have stamped on the fucking things 25 cents, because if you go to a convenience store, you think nothing about getting a honey bun. If you want one, it's 25 cents. Well, they were $1 in the prison, so you're paying 4 times what's stamped on the fucking honey bun to the state. The state obviously is only paying a quarter for those honey buns, so they're making 4 times the profit on one of those. And that's just one example. Look at the phone bills, the astronomical.
Oh goodness.
The amount of money
they're killing them. They're killing them on that one.
Phone call.
That's people's way of being connected to the outside world.
Right. And you know what they're doing now? They're now taking away visits, like seeing their family. What they're doing now is they're installing these stupid kiosks in the separate units that they have, so that the prisoner will go up to a room, dial somebody in on a Skype call. Their family will have to come into the prison. Their family will literally be on the fucking property in a different room, Skyping you. Why? Because it costs you now to get a visit from your family, where traditionally that's just a thing that came with it. Your family was able to come see you. You could interact with them. You could reach out and touch them. Now, because they have found a technology where they can make now they're going to say it's for safety reasons, but that's bullshit. It's absolutely bullshit. It's all to make money, and they're doing it on people. They're preying on people who are a lot of times have an addiction, which should be medically treated, not criminally treated. So these are predatory practices in every aspect that you look at. Prison is a way for the state to make money, period. The more people are in prison, the more money the state makes.
To me, it's like we've reached a point where we have to kind of like, there's a lot of people in this country that, because they've never experienced it before, they aren't aware of how, like, I'm glad you laid it out the way you did right there. I appreciate that, because I learned some things myself. But a lot of people don't understand the severity and the actuality of the situation that's going on in this country, and what a lot of their fellow, other people that they associate with, what they're having to deal with. So I appreciate that, brother. I appreciate you sharing that.
Absolutely. A lot of people, it's easy. It's really sad that we as a society can be okay with, and I used to be the same way until I was actually there, but it's easy to put people in a concrete box behind a big wall with razor fencing and forget about them. They broke a rule. It's justified for, in a lot of people's minds, you get what you deserve. You break a rule, you have to get punished for it. But when I was there, I was convicted for drug charges. The drug issue was never addressed in my sentencing. It was just to go to prison and sit there for a year and make the state money. When you work like a dog in prison, whether it be in the canteen, like unloading those trucks every day. You were up at 6 o'clock in the morning. You didn't get done until like 5 o'clock that afternoon. It was 11 hours every single day. If you didn't work, then you got put into the solitary confinement until you decided that you should work. So you're forced to do that, or you're not forced. If you decide not to, then you just get to spend your staycation in solitary confinement. But you do that for less than $1 a day, and the labor on that doesn't work out at all for the amount that you're putting in there. A lot of these guys literally break their backs almost doing this labor.
They're crippled.
Yeah,
for the rest of their lives.
It's sad.
Bad knees, bad joints, stuff like that.
Sad. And the healthcare in there. Don't even get me started on the healthcare. That could be an entire show. The things that the outrageous prices that people have to pay while they're in there. It's to get seen if you have a toothache or you're genuinely sick is $30 base cost. That comes out of your either the state gets it from the work that you do. So for 30 days, you're not collecting any money for the work that you're doing. That's to pay off the visit where you just went up to a physician and the physician said, right. Yeah, that has nothing to do with what the doctor prescribes you or any subsequent care that you have to go through. That's just to see somebody. In a lot of cases, to say, here's some Tylenol, suck it up. Again, because you're in prison, you don't get an expectation of any sort of sympathy, and no one's going to go out of their way to do any favors for you or to look after you, even though you might be actually sick. These people are not bad people. Some of them are the most creative people that I've ever met in my life. And they just didn't have anybody on the outside that said, you deserve better. You can do better. That's all that they know, be it from their families, be it from just being alone. And that's why I tell people this, and the links are I'll put the links again in the description of this video. But there are two services that I always like to tell people about. One is Prison Pen Pals, where you can literally change somebody's life by writing to these guys that don't get any mail. Mail call every day is the event of the day. Everybody looks forward to mail day because, like I said, the phone calls are so outrageous. To get mail when you're not expecting it, and especially somebody that you don't know that just cares enough to reach out and say, hey, I got your name off of Prison Pen Pals. I just wanted to let you know that there's somebody out there that cares about you. It can do so much. That can be the difference between somebody having a reason to get out and do better. And if you have the time, anybody that's watching this, if you have the time to sit down and just write a letter, just take 30 minutes out of your week and write somebody a letter, you can literally change someone's life. And also there's a service that is Prison Book something. I'll find it and put it in the description. But if you have any extra books laying around, you can send it to them. They'll pay for the postage or whatever. And they make sure that these books get into the prisons. And a lot of people talk about the graphic stuff that I do. That's where I learned how to do all that. I had my brother send me graphic design textbooks, and I would literally sit there for hours and just sketch out in notebooks and read about how to do graphic stuff. I taught myself that in prison. And it's a good place for people to discover something about themselves that they didn't know. It doesn't have to be where it's just a building full of horrible people. Are there horrible people there? Yes. Mm-hmm. For the most part, these are nonviolent offenders that got stuck in this revolving door of a money-making pit, and they don't feel like they have anybody out there that cares enough about them, so why bother? But if people can show that they are worth more time and that this is not the end of their life, and there doesn't have to be a stigma attached to that, you can literally change somebody's life forever. And it's so simple to do. It's so simple to do.
Rock on, brother. Thank you for that, man. It's a great place for us to start is by just reaching out and
absolutely
and staying connected with each other, because that's where it begins. Is with, you summed it up in so many different ways, but like you said earlier, they throw somebody in boxing. You know what I mean? You'd be surprised how fast your friends and family will. Well, it's not like they really move on, but it's just like, what can they do, and what can you do?
Oh yeah.
So.
Oh, I know. I had a guy I was dating for 2 years leave the day that I got locked up. I know that all too well. That feeling of people leaving. But you know what? Here's the thing. When you're in situations like that, you have to decide if you're going to let it beat you, or you're gonna kick its ass. Every day, I remember something starkly. When I got locked up, it was so cold. I mean, it was just freezing cold there every single morning. And one morning I woke up and I was like, you know what? I'm not going to wake up cold anymore. I'm going to wake up and I'm going to do something. I'm going to run every morning, and I'm not going to be cold one more goddamn morning here in this place. I'm not going to let this place beat me mentally. I'm not going to let it beat me physically. I'm going to use this time to make myself better so that whenever I cross that gate, I'm going to be a better Kyle leaving than when I came in. That was my entire goal. And setting your eyes on that prize and just keeping that in mind and making sure that because I don't know if you've been in that situation, but there is something about walking through that threshold when you're released that is, I mean, I don't even know how to describe it. You literally feel something when you walk across that gate from being where every movement that you've made is told to you what you can do, and now being free to make your own decisions. And if people feel like there's people on the outside that's championing them, that believes in them, and that isn't going to hold the fact that they had a hiccup in the road, and that this is not the end of the world, that mistakes happen, and they just got caught doing a lot of things that everybody does. That's the thing. There was a lawyer in my county. I'm not going to say his name, but you can Google it. Like 2 weeks after I got locked up, he was a prosecutor. He was walking through the metal detectors, and on a random search, got his briefcase searched and had vials of cocaine in his briefcase. This is a guy that was putting away people for drug offenses, doing the same thing that he's literally locking people up away from. Everyone messes up on these things from time to time, but for whatever reason, the people that get caught and the people that get sent away for it are deemed, with that scarlet F, and they're forgotten about. Well, I refuse to forget about them, and I will continue to scream to the top of my lungs that there's no way they should be forgotten, and that for a lot of them, they do deserve better, and they got caught up in a system that anybody could have, and that they need to use that time there to better themselves. And when they get out, there are people who believe in them 100%, and that they can move mountains if they put their mind to it. Period.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here because, like I said, I know y'all said this was gonna be the last call, but you give me you brought back a lot of connections for me, and I was kind of lost on where I should go, but I think I know now.
Email me at live@nonsexshow. Email me at live@nonsexshow.com, and we can talk further.
Okay, no problem. Bet.
All right, man.
I got you.
Thanks, Leon.
Take it easy. Sorry, I sounded like Shannon there for the last call.
Did you just say sorry? I sounded like Shannon.
I'm just checking. That's my soapbox. I get wound up when it comes to
I was excited when I heard him ask that because I was like, "Oh, Kyle's got this."
Oh, it's such an obvious thing, but once again, it's easy to just put them in the big box and forget about it. Why go out of our way to? No, you're fine.
Well,
Please.
I was just gonna say, I think totally. That's totally why they won't decriminalize drug use. I think, I don't understand why people are in prison for drug use. That's something that it's just a crime against yourself. So they would be putting you in there to protect you from yourself, but that doesn't make any sense because there's no rehabilitation programs, and they're also building you, if you're utilizing drugs, it's probably because you have something that you need to deal with. Making your life worse ultimately is not going to deter you from drug use. If anything, it's going to drive you more towards it because now you're further marginalized and segregated from society, less likely to incorporate because you have even further steps to take to get incorporated into broader society without having to utilize substances. They're taking you 3 steps back instead of progressing you a step forward to get you past an addiction.
Right. So they don't make any money when you're out of their grasp.
Right.
As long as they can keep you, here's the thing, as long as they can keep you in the system, as long as you're on probation, that's why probation and a lot of people are shocked at the amount of probation and probation sentences that are handed out. A lot of people are like, wow, he only got probation for that? Well, that's the best way for the state to make money off of you because you pay monthly supervision fees. They keep tabs on you. They know where you are at all times so that if you do break a law, they can grab you, throw you in prison, and you're not going to escape that money-making scheme. See, here's the thing. A lot of people are in prison for, if you look at the number one money-making thing from prison or from jails, county jails, is child support. Now, here's the funny thing. In North Carolina, I fully 100%, you should pay your child support. But here's the thing. When they get you for not paying your child support, you have to pay those court fees and the probationary fees. They're going to take that first before they pass along. Yes, before they pass along the money from the child support. The state's going to get their money first. And then they're going to pass it.
Why do you even need to pay?
Because they don't make money that way.
Well, why don't they just garnish you and incorporate their portion of it into the garnishment, and they can just
They pick money anywhere they can.
Yeah, they can just incorporate it into an arrears amount, into a garnishment order.
No, that makes too much sense. That makes too much sense.
Well, here's the thing.
Even a garnishment order. Even a garnishment order, they take extra out if you have an involuntary withdrawal order as opposed to just paying child support directly.
Right.
They take more money out to process that for you, as opposed. And it's like, well, why don't I?
But they're not processing it.
They're forwarding it to the other person's bank. That's literally all they do.
It's worse than that.
Direct deposit into.
It's worse than that.
I know more about
it's worse than that. They arrest you. They don't want you to pay it, because when they arrest you for failure to pay child support, they have you in the system now, right? You were in the system before. You just had a civil order to how much you were supposed to pay. It then becomes a criminal thing. So they arrest you, and then they sentence you to either jail time or probationary time, and then you're in that grasp. Now, when you're in that grasp, the state's going to charge you for either the time that you're in jail or the probationary and supervision fees. And they're going to take that money out first, and whatever's left, they're going to send to the mother or whoever in the child support thing. Why? Because the state now makes money off of you not paying child support.
And meanwhile, the child support's still not being paid.
Correct.
Because the state's taking money. That's ridiculous.
The state doesn't actually give a shit about your kids.
Correct.
Here in Canada, you can opt to have, a lot of people do voluntary garnishments, so that they have active records that they are paying their child support, and B, because it's more convenient, because it's directly deposited through an agency, and it's through a government agency. Usually, it doesn't cost anything. You just get an order and submit it to the payroll company, and the payroll company or your business or whatever adds it to your paycheck, and most of them just remit electronically right to the CRA, and then the CRA just includes it with the monthly allotment that the mother or father, whoever is getting the child support, would get when they get their child benefit. So it all just happens in one fluid motion, and it's all well tracked, and it's convenient.
You can do that here too, but a lot of people don't elect to do that.
You would have to owe so much money in child support to get arrested. Like, the first course of action is garnishment. Like, you just get a garnishment order.
3 months here.
That's insane. Why wouldn't they just go straight to garnishment? Why would you put somebody in the court system?
Because you can't make money off of it that way.
Like, that's a strain on the court system. If you have the option of just processing a garnishment order and garnishing their wages, then it's done. It's one and done. The child support's paid. You're not utilizing the resources of the system, and problem solved.
Here's the thing, though. If they get you in that system, right, they're dealing with somebody that doesn't pay their child support. So obviously they have no regard for when you're supposed to pay it, what you're supposed to pay when. So they get somebody that is going to not pay. And when you don't pay, what happens? That system reaches out and clips you further and grabs you in, so that you have those bills stacked up and stacked up and stacked up and stacked up and stacked up. Here's the other thing they don't tell you. A lot of prisons are
being supported.
A lot of prisons are for-profit prisons. So for every head that's in prison, every head that's in prison, the state gets money for
like a private prison?
Yes. When there were so many cases of judges. Listen, when there were so many cases of judges being found guilty of kicking people to prisons because they had a deal under the table with the company that was in charge of those prisons. So that prison corporation would pay for a judge's reelection campaign, and in return, the judge would send them a quota of people to the fucking prison.
Why aren't the prisons run federally or by the state? Why would somebody own a prison? Somebody shouldn't own a prison. A prison.
No, they shouldn't. No, they shouldn't. But that's America, capitalism.
If somebody owns a prison, then it's not regulated by a democratic system, which is the point of prisons. They're to rehabilitate people so that they'll be in accord with the law of the land as is established by the democratic, or in my instance, parliamentary system. So if you shift that to a private business, then the interest isn't in rehabilitation, it's now in profit. And if the interest is in profit, then that negates the existence of the prison system. It exists outside of the system that it's supposed to be supporting. It's segregated from it.
First of all, prisons are not for rehabilitation. Not one prison
Yeah,
is for rehabilitation. No, not in America.
No.
Not in America. Not a chance. Like that's what I'm saying. When I was sentenced, it was not for rehabilitation. The reason that I got sent there was never addressed. It was, okay, you have an addiction? Great. We're going to put you in with the other drug offenders, the thieves, the rapists, the murderers. I wrote letters that was another thing that I did at night. As part of like a barter system, I would write letters to judges for people because I had a way of, phrasing things and making it sound good, I guess. And so people would come to me when they wanted like a briefing done. I'll write it up. I had a guy that got in a dispute with a neighbor and cut off his neighbor's head.
What?
And I saw the court documents to it and everything. And I wrote a lot of his appeals to the judge, knowing that it was not ever going to get, any sort of, whatever. But the guy had been in prison since 1960 something. I mean, he had been there for decades.
30 plus years, yeah.
Yeah. And literally, I'm sitting across the table from this guy. Now, if it was a rehabilitation thing, there's no way we would be in the same vicinity. Yeah. I would be, somewhere getting treatment every day, going to group meetings. There would be mandated group meetings saying that you had to go to, addiction classes. The staff would come in and teach you ways to handle situations better where you weren't searching for drugs.
That never happened there or whatever. Yeah.
You guys don't have like subsidized education in the prison system. Like if you go to prison here, okay. So like you can go to community college via correspondence in prison, and it's subsidized by the government, so the government will pay for it.
Yeah, some do.
Oh, okay.
Not all. It depends on your state. Depends on your state.
Why are prisons
not where I was
regulated by? If a prison is enforcing federal law, why is it run by the state and not the federal government?
Good question.
Good question.
This prison over here and 16 miles away, this prison have no idea what the other prison's doing. They're completely different entities run by one may be federally regulated. Actually, in the system of prisons here, you have privately owned prisons, you have state-run prisons, and then you have federally run prisons. So if you get convicted of a federal crime, and the federal government prosecutes you, you go to a federal prison. If it's a state, if the state prosecutes you, you can go to a privately owned prison, depending on which county that you're in, which district that you're in, or you can go to a state run. But they're all ran differently, depending on where you're at and which district you're in.
The same crime. So me and an identical clone doppelganger of me could be on opposite sides of the state and commit the exact same crime. And one of us could go to a prison where we get appropriate rehabilitation and everything goes the way it should. And the other one of us could go to a prison where we're in solitary confinement the entire time because we refuse to do the work that's assigned to us, or where my cellmate is an axe murderer and I stole a pack of gum. Well, I mean, that's an extreme example, but and the other one could have a drug program that helps me rehabilitate and opportunity for education and group therapy and counseling and on the job training, and the other one could be just flailing in the wind, just based on the locations where we committed crimes.
Let me tell you something scarier. There's a prison that was right down the road from where I was at. I was at Noose Correctional Institution, and what that is that's a processing facility. So everybody in the state that was going to go to other prisons, you have to come through Noose first. Noose was it's like an island or a microcosm of society. They had psychological stations where you take tests, health screenings, all that stuff set up here. And then once you're classified based on what you can handle and like how smart you are, and if you're gang affiliated, you're then after 2 weeks transported out from there. And I had to stay there because of my job, but usually everybody else is transported out. So it's come in, be classified, and then transported out. Now there was a prison, Tabor City, right down the road that I don't know if they still do this because they were being investigated at the time, but a lot of those guys at Noose, you would have maybe 8 hours a day where you could be outside, you could lift weights, you could hang out in the dorms. It wasn't like cells; it was like army dorms where there's just bunks everywhere. You worked at this other place. They were on lockdown for 23 hours a day. They got out 1 hour a day to exercise. You got 1 hour. The rest of the time it was spent closed up. Now that's just the luck of the draw. Yes. That's just the luck that you get, whether you're going to be in a place where you can actually move freely for a lot of the time that you're up, or you're going to be locked up and caged like an animal for 23 hours a day.
Jesus Christ. Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Oh,
okay.
we need to do just a show.
I'm getting mentally exhausted because it's 12:15. But yeah, wow. You should do a whole show on that. You should get
I should. I definitely should.
Like you could do a series on that. You could do a fucking series on that, Kyle. Like really. Get all journalistic on it. All up in this bitch.
Today on Channel None News, we take a look at the prison system. Thanks, Tom. It's a dirty, it's a dirty, rotten industry, and something's got to change.
Oh, Kyle. No. Well, that's good. That's progress. That's good.
Let me before we close out, let me tell you guys about something exciting that we are putting together for the fall. NunCon 2019. People wanted to have a get together. Usually once a year, I go and see my brother who lives out in Los Angeles. By the way, Shannon, of course, you and Paul are invited, and we will take care of your flights out there. So if you decide that you can make it, yeah, of course.
Oh, because I wouldn't be able to afford it. I was sad because I didn't think I could come.
Yeah.
Oh, that means I could totally come.
Good.
Red's Rhetoric is going to be there.
And here's the thing. Here's the thing, though. Here's what's exciting. That Friday night, we're going to do the Golden Nuns live. So in the award show that we did last year will actually be live on that Friday night. And then Saturday, yeah. And then that Saturday, here's the cool thing. That Saturday, and I'm reaching out to these people. This is not set in stone yet. So these are just ideas that I have. But the debate that the first debate that we ever featured was Red's Rhetoric and Nathan Thompson. So I'm going to try to get them live in person with a debate on the flat Earth. And then I'm praying to the gods that I can make this work. I'm going to reach out to Destiny and Jesse Lee Peterson, and I'm going to invite them that night for a round 2 of their conversation. But we're going to do the show live from the place where we're going to have it. So absolutely, Shannon, we'll talk more about that. But Reds is going to be setting up a GoFundMe. You can watch his channel for updates on that, and all the proceeds will be going to getting these people out there. A lot of like Destiny and Jesse Lee Peterson, and I think Nathan Thompson too, already live out in Los Angeles. So They'll already be out there, but the hosts of the show, like Shannon and Casey, those guys, we want to get their fights out there, and so that we all can be there and have a grand time. So watch Red's channel for when that goes live, and we will have one hell of a time. So if you live in LA or can make it out, October the 25th, 26th, and 27th will be the first ever non-con. So let's just fucking go crazy like Woodstock, burn shit down, and let them know that we were there.
Everybody knows when you and I are there, Kyle.
Oh yeah,
people are acutely aware when you and I are
It'll be good though. It'll be a lot of fun. So we have that'll be in October. So clear your calendars, and we'll have a gay old time. If you want to have a gay old time. If you want to have a straight time, that's too. That's just a wrong word there. If you want to have a straight time, that's fine too. We'll have a time. Have a time.
Every time.
Shannon, do you have anything coming up that you want to plug or put out there, anything like that before we close out?
I don't know. I keep plugging the Christian Counselor series, and I keep not getting it done because I keep doing other things instead. So I don't know. One day I'll do that. I'm the worst YouTuber in the world. I am garbage at this.
Such enthusiasm. Such enthusiasm.
It's almost 12:30.
Yeah, I'm gonna read super chat. So if you need to go ahead and clear out, you have had a day. You can go ahead and do that, and I'll read these and close out the show.
Because I'm getting
not at all.
because I'm exhausted.
No, go ahead.
I love you all. Thank you, Kyle. But mostly, fuck you.
Yep, one of these.
Okay. That's the first thing. I swear you try to elicit them. I know you do.
That's the emoji of choice.
Like that's more like it. Okay. Bye,
Bye, Stan.
Bye, Dave.
Have a good night. Okay, let's see. Okay. Ryan Hoffman left a super chat with no message. Thank you very much. Catherine Knight Diaz says, "Hey Shannon, heard from Jimmy that you and some others are working towards a press release about Make America Straight Again. Is all well? News groups being good to you? I believe that they're making extremely good progress on that. Catherine Knight Diaz, thank you for doing this. It's going to help a lot. Min says, I hope your doctors will do their only job, healing you, not saving you. Be well, Kyle, and want you to if I have that blessing. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Xanos Carthage says people don't realize 40 days and nights is slang. Min says, do you mind giving my donation to Shannon for me, Kyle? Shannon's channel does not stream this episode, so I cannot donate to her. I absolutely will make sure that gets to her. My unfinished journey. Jephthah's daughter had served him green eggs and ham for breakfast. That explains everything else. That makes sense. Mr. Meat Lover 666 using my free super chat to say down with the NIFB. I couldn't agree more. Jen Morgan, the purity tests are avoided by people who transition on their own and seek physician's assistance retrospectively. The Infernal Atheist says, giving hell back to God, chapter 5. Very nice. Let me just make sure that's the last one on that. And Jens, hey Jens says, get well, Kyle, the internet needs you. I don't plan on letting the internet off the hook anytime soon. So what did Charlton Heston say? For my cold dead hands. And that's what I'll leave you on. We'll be back tomorrow. Same non-sec time, same non-sec place, unless I fucked up the booking and then it'll be earlier, maybe. But until then, I'm Kyle. That was Shannon. Dave is always producing. Good night, and keep up the good fight.
Good night, y'all.